The goal of this video is to create an animated tree in Blender and then import that tree along with its animations into Unity. So to start out with the basic cube, I'm going to hide the camera in light, go into edit mode, hit M, and then merge at the center to get a single vertex. That'll be the base of the tree. So I'm actually going to add in a cube and then change the size of it to be 5 units or 5 meters tall, and this will be my height reference. So I'm going to move it up, and this is effectively a 5 meter or 15 feet tall height cube. So I'm going to go back to the tree, which I renamed, and then start using E to extrude up the vertex into a series of vertices. That'll be the trunk, and then I can start extruding out, again using E, branches. So I'll hide the height cube since I don't need it anymore. And then I'm just going to keep using E to extrude out different branches in different directions. I can also use Control R to add additional vertices in between existing vertices if I want. And I can use G to move around vertices after I've already set them up. Again, it's just a basic outline of a tree. I'm not going to set up anything too complex right now for the demonstration, but I do have a tree that I created earlier that I'll show later in the video. So I have some branches. I'm also going to add in some roots for the tree. And then once I'm done with the basic outline here, I'm going to be able to set up a couple of modifiers. And then one of those modifiers is going to allow me to set up an armature without having to set any bones up myself. So it's all going to be automated. I think that's looking pretty good. I have a bunch of roots and everything. So I'm actually going to add a skin modifier, select smooth shading, and then a subdivision surface and add 2 levels to that. So I'm going to go to wireframe mode. Everything looks kind of bulky right now, so I'm actually going to hit A and then Control A to adjust the width of the branches here. What I can actually do now that I know the branch width is continue to use E to extrude out, and the skin modifier will actually update. So it's not like I have to reapply that modifier or anything. So I'm going to keep adding a couple more branches until I get this to look how I want it to. And then I'm going to set up the armature. So I think this is starting to look pretty good. I'm just going to add a little bit more. I want enough branches that I can actually run a decent animation on it, and you can see the branches moving around and everything. And I think that looks pretty good. I'll add one more branch up here. And then what I'm going to do now is go over and I can go back into solid mode, apply the subdivision surface modifier. The branches are looking kind of bulky right now, so you can either add more subdivision surface levels, you can select smooth shading. If none of that's working, I might actually just go back into edit mode and use Control A to make the branches a little bit smaller. I think that's looking a little bit better. So, all right, cool. So now I can create an armature. Now I have the tree and its armature, and it automatically populates. I can apply the skin modifier, but I do not want to apply the armature modifier because what I need to do next is actually go into pose mode, which is available when you select the armature, switch over the bottom screen into timeline, and then use I and set the location rotation for keyframe 1. And you can see that I have a keyframe there now in the timeline. And then I can select some branches using just the regular box select. I can rotate that along the Z-axis by any degree amount, and then set, again using I, and then location rotation. And now I have almost a basic animation. I'm actually going to copy the first pose and then paste it on keyframe 40 and use I, location rotation. And now I have an animation where it rotates and then rotates back to where it started. And that's good because I actually want to loop this animation. So that's a very basic animation in Blender. Now let's export it via FBX to get it into Unity. So in Unity, I have a basic scene set up, and I'm going to drag in that FBX, click on the tree, and then you can see I actually have an animation. So I'm going to change the name of it to rotate, and it actually already has the start and end time imported from Blender, which is great. I'll click the checkbox for loop time and hit apply, and now I have a rotate animation. However, this won't just automatically run if I drag and drop the tree into the scene. What I need to do is actually set up an animator. So I'm going to add an animator to this tree, and then it needs a controller. So I'm going to create an animator controller, call it tree controller, and then I'm going to drag the controller onto the animator. I'll go up to the animator tab, and then I just have any state, entry, and I think exit is on there somewhere. I'm going to drag rotate in, and it'll automatically link it to where as soon as I start the game, the animation will run, and it should run in a loop. So if I save, click play, you'll see that the animation, it's running very fast, but it is running and it's on loop. Now that doesn't look super realistic, so I'm actually going to show a tree that I made earlier that is much more detailed and that I've already set up a few different animations for. So this tree took me some time, probably 30 to 60 minutes to create, and then another 15 minutes, 20 minutes or so to set up the animations. So I have a rotate animation. I have it where it's shifting, and then I actually have it where, if I scroll over here, a third animation where the branches just kind of move around like the wind is blowing through the tree. So in the same fashion, if I go and export this as an FBX and drag and drop it into this scene, I deleted the previous tree. So if I drag and drop it, and then it actually tried to set up some clips, but it didn't do it quite right. So I'm going to rename one clip to be just all the animations, set it to loop time, and then hit apply. So I'm actually just gonna have all of the animations run just in order and then loop back around. Now you can separate these into multiple clips if you want, but here's my one clip. So there's the rotate, there's the shift, and then it might be hard to see, but there's the branches just kind of moving around. Again, you can separate that into 3 clips if you want and have different actions that will cause those animations to run. So I'm actually going to make the ground a little bit bigger. And then, again, the same way I did it last time, I need to create an animator controller. I'll call it, again, just tree, maybe underscore controller this time. I can go into the animator, but first I actually want to add an animator to the tree. Drag and drop the controller into the controller slot, and then again drag and drop the animation. Again, you can set up or drag and drop all 3 of the animations if you want to separate them into clips, that is. So I'm going to adjust my camera to where I can actually see the entire tree. I think that's pretty good. And now when I play the game, you'll see there's the rotate, and then it shifts and shifts back, and then the branches kind of separate out a little bit and then come back together. And that's it.